Guess who's back? It's me. Haven't thought of a name yet here. And well, I did something. Yeah. Um. Thoughts on the hair? That has nothing to do with today's video. So guys, to celebrate the 36 days I've gone without uploading, for goodness sake, we're going to be predicting this year's Double XL freshman list. I bet you're excited. No one's cared about that for years now, but alright. The funny thing about this video is I wrote this list in like February, and I've just been waiting for like sort of confirmation that it's coming soon, because the last couple of years, I'm assuming due to the pandemic, the list reveal has been later than usual, because normally it's towards the end of April, but the past few years it's been closer to June time. So I was just sort of waiting for confirmation, and about a month ago, so none of you care, I missed the chance to pop off. The vote was revealed. I still haven't looked at it because I didn't want to spoil this video, you know what I mean? But without further ado, let's get into it. I just said further ado. I've tried to shoot this like 10 times, I'm not re-recording, sorry. Now, to kick off the list, we've got probably the least likely person on it. If this was Ice Spice a few months ago, I could have seen it happening, but like now, like she's had massive chart performance. But in my defense, Lil Pump had Gucci Gang and still got in the year after, and I'm pretty sure Gucci Gang's a bigger hit than the Boys a Liar remix. But this isn't a Lil Pump video. I've already done enough of them for a year. Now, Ice Spice, I first heard of when she released Munch Feeling You, which kind of a bad song, I'm sorry. Like, I've liked quite a bit of her music, don't laugh at me, but Munch is such a dead song. Like, the beat is so dull. But like, after that she released the much more energetic and better Bikini Bottom, and then she released her Like EP, which was pretty much a compilation of singles. I'm pretty sure there were like 4 singles going into it, and it was a 6-song EP. But yeah, that EP was decent. Like, not a massive fan of Munch, like I just said. I'm not a massive fan of Gangsta Boo with Lil TJ either. Just really not my kind of thing. But Princess Diana, which has popped off recently, I think, on TikTok, does genuinely go hard, and I really enjoy Acting Smoochie and In Her Mood as well. On that note, Princess Diana remix, I wish I'd kind of waited a bit longer with that bad rap song remixes. Like, I'm sorry. I think Nicki Minaj is an overhated artist and she can be good on features, but her 2 drill songs so far have been horrific. And yeah, it was really unnecessary. Now, this guy, he first sort of came onto the scene with Rockin' a Cardigan in Atlanta, or whatever it's called. And he got like co-signs from Offset and Cardi B. When I was researching this video, I found some truly shocking information about this guy. Like, can someone tell me how Lil Shorty Scott is older than Young Thug? I mean, it is a bit irrational to predict a 33-year-old that still does a baby voice in his music to make it onto the list, but we've seen more shocking inclusions, and if I had to predict the winner of the 10th place of vote, if he's on there, which I don't know if he is, I'm kind of hoping he is, I think he'd be the type to win that, because normally it's been more sort of novelty slash cult following artists that have won the 10th place vote. But yeah, I mean, he put out an EP last year, and some of the songs on there are actually genuinely enjoyable. I think it's called Mental or something. That one's quite good. If you can put up with the whole voice that he does for all of it. But yeah, moving on. Okay, so Joe Kanji's kind of interesting because I think they've missed out on including him like 3 years in a row. With 2022, 2021, and 2020, obviously. He's been on the scene for a while now. He released his first, I think it was an EP, he said it was, but it had like too much songs to be classed as an EP, so I'd more say it was a mixtape on streaming services, because that's what I go by. Back in 2020. So obviously, due to how long he's been sort of going with music, that could be sort of cause for concern over him actually like making it into the list. But I think like two examples of rappers I'll give. People like Dave East show that like anyone can get in, because obviously Dave East was in the 2016 one, and he released like his first like early music in 2010, and that's a 6-year gap. And the other example I'll use is Juice WRLD, who they sort of held out on putting in the list for like multiple years in a row, and then by the time they actually asked him, he rejected them. So I'm pretty sure they won't want to risk that happening again. Stylistically, speaking of Juice WRLD, he is sort of similar to Juice WRLD. I'd say he's sort of a blend of like Juice WRLD sound and like Lil Tecca's sound, with a little bit of like the rage aesthetic that's came up recently. I'm not a massive fan of the sort of like emo rap, internet money style, but when it comes to that sound, Joe Kanji does it well, because I feel as if he makes very catchy music, and whilst it wasn't one of my favourite releases of last year, he did release a really quite good album towards the end of last year. He was collaborating with a lot of like underground artists, like, so if you like Cash Dami or DC the Don, they're on there. So I definitely recommend you to go and give that a listen if you like this sort of underground rage sound, and if you like the sort of emo rap sound. Now, speaking of a long time coming, Jaleel released his first album like 4 years ago, but he hasn't really released any albums since, I don't think. He's released a few EPs, but that's been about it. Very, very energetic guy. When I was googling pictures for this video, it took me like genuinely like 2.5 minutes of scrolling to find a photo of him fully clothed. I first heard about him through, it was an NFR podcast live stream, and people in the comments were speaking about how his live shows were insane and stuff. so I went and checked out his music. I was really late to the party. The first song I heard by him was Shots with Denzel Curry, because I've not spoke about him yet, but spoiler, like, Denzel is one of my favourite artists. And that song was interesting. I wasn't really a massive fan of it on first listen. I felt as if Julio's whole sort of like screamed auto-tune delivery wasn't for me. And I also felt as if Denzel was a bit of a pointless inclusion, like he didn't really fit the beat that well. But then I listened to a song he did with Mike Dimes, and that wasn't great either. And then I gave his first album a listen, and it was very different to where he is now. Because now he sort of does a blend of like that metal trap sound you'll get with someone like Zilla Kami or something, but he also does the more sort of rage sound, like artists like Yeat, for example. But that album, there was like genuinely like melodic songs on. I've not listened to a lot of the guy's music, so I don't know if he still does the melodic stuff, but like from the modern stuff I've heard from him, it's very much like Shots, if you've heard that song. Very high octane music, so if you like that sort of thing, you'd probably like it. But personally, he's not really to my taste. Just dropped my phone. It's not broken, don't worry. But yeah, Mike Dimes. Speaking of Mike Dimes, I mentioned him in the last segment about Jaleel, and I don't like to be biased, but Mike Dimes is probably my favourite artist on this list. Again, another artist I was very late to the party to. First song I heard him on was The Code off of that IDK EP thing last year, where I thought it was really like a smooth song, and Mike Dimes was nice on it. It wasn't an EP I was a massive fan of. I think, was it Kate Shinata that did the production for that? Not really a fan of the production on that project, but The Code was one of the few songs on it I liked. I then looked through his sort of catalogue and saw that like he had quite a few popular songs, and I was like, hold on, this guy's this popular, how have I not? How have I only just heard of him? And then I learned that he like blew up on TikTok, and I sort of was like, oh, I'm a bit nervous for going into this. So then the first project by him that I checked out was In Times We Trust, which really caught me off guard. A lot of it is just very basic trap turn-up music, but it works as that, and I think it's a really fun and energetic album. He is very charismatic on his songs, and he has a few funny lyrics here and there, and he knows how to catch a decent flow. And then I checked out his, what was it called? It was like D-Log, I think I think D-Log was the name. Which caught me off guard almost, because I was sort of just expecting another round of the same thing. Maybe a bit more unrefined because it was his first album. But he's quite a versatile artist on there. There's more sort of like old school production. There's like melodic tracks. I would really recommend checking out his music, because the sort of more like older, like in old school music, generation of music fans will appreciate his songs, like the one with Take 3K off of his new album. He's also gearing up to release another new album, which I'm looking forward to. And the more people that are just listening to music casually and just for the hits type people, they'll like a lot of his stuff. Really looking forward to his next album. He's just dropped a track with Maxo Cream and someone else. They're one of like Gucci Mane's affiliates, I think, but I can't remember who it is. Because I've not checked it out because I've been avoiding the singles. But yeah, check that out because Maxo Cream's also good. On to the next artist. Okay, Midwest is sort of different to a lot of the artists on this list. He's in that more sort of like hyper pop sort of wave with people like Glaive and Eric Doa and stuff. He was actually how I found out about the vote. It was on his Instagram story. I checked out all this guy's music, literally all of it, every single, every EP for this video, and I think he is actually quite a versatile artist. When I went into it, I was sort of nervous because I'm not a massive fan of hyperpop. Not really a fan of much of that sort of the current underground genres, if you know what I mean. I'm not really an emo rap fan, not really a rage fan, not really a hyperpop fan. So I was sort of apprehensive going in, but he has got other sounds. Like his last project went for more like hard hitting type production. There's a track called Babytron on there, which was actually surprisingly got a good, given my opinions on Babytron that I've not given a video. I'll probably do a video about him. I've got a new series I'm thinking of starting, so I might start off with him. Then he's obviously got his, is it his most recent? I think it's his most recent song, Tally, with Denzel Curry, which is more sort of mainstream trap, sort of similar to like the same sort of aesthetic as like DaBaby and all those like Jetson Made rappers. So yeah, an artist that genuinely caught me off guard and that I listen to quite frequently. The guy can sing as well, so that's decent. Moving on. Alright, similar to Mike Dimes, I think Red Veil's another artist they could see the more sort of old school hip hop listeners enjoying. He's in that sort of jazz rap, experimental kind of lane, which I've not really delved into. I first heard of him through PG Baby, like the remix with Denzel Curry, because, like I said earlier, I'm a Denzel fan. Feels like he's just featuring with every underground artist at this point. His tape last year was really quite good. I can't remember the name of it. Learn to Swim. That was a good project. And I think he's got a lot of potential. He was featured on that new JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown album as well, and he had one of the only bearable parts of that album for me. More on that probably in a different video, maybe towards the end of the year, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I think you should definitely check him out if you're more into that sort of lyrical, personal writing sort of side of hip hop. He's not my favourite artist, but he's probably the best lyricist on this list. Now, I imagine most of you, unless you're really sort of tapped into the underground, will have heard of Tana Leone through his contribution on Mr. Morale, off of Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers by Kendrick Lamar. First impressions of him on there, I didn't really like it. Mr. Morale is one of my least favourite songs on that album. I just can't really get into the Pharrell production on that track and the whole sort of like the Tana Leon contribution to that track is actually kind of laughable to me. I find it funny. But then, actually recently, I think it would have been in about January time, went and listened to his first album, and if I'm being honest with you, I think the guy's got a lot of potential. There were a lot of different sounds on there. There was more sort of rock-inspired production, there was more sort of experimental, lo-fi type stuff, and then you had like hard-hitting trap beats on some songs. So I think he is very much a versatile artist. If you like people like Travis Scott and stuff, I think you could get into his music, because he does the whole sort of auto-tuned, lots of vocal effects, psychedelic rap that Travis Scott does, and that Don Toliver does. And yeah, I think the guy is another artist on here with a lot of potential, and someone to watch out for. So, from an artist I really like, onto an artist whose music I really don't like. He's a member of Playboi Carti's Opium label, and I don't really like anyone on there. Like, Playboi Carti, self-titled and Die-Lit Days, Cash Carti are out as well. Really nice, enjoyable music. Whole Lot of Red was kind of bad and inspired an entire generation of rappers that I don't like. And now he's got a label with 4 other artists that sound like him. I read last year that, speaking of Opium, Ken Carson rejected XXL because Destroy Lonely couldn't be added, so I'm hoping that was just due to like scheduling and not because like they didn't want him or something. Because then he probably wouldn't make it in. Obviously Opium's got quite a bad rep around it right now due to a few situations I'm not going into because it's not really my place. But I'm here to speak about the music. But with Homicide Gang, I feel as if the production is really cheap sounding and they're really annoying. Then they're also really annoying as people. Ken Carson has the same sort of issue with his production, but he just sounds extremely generic. But I think Destroy Lonely is the most sort of bearable artist on that label, musically and in real life. But again, I'm not going into that. I think he's got a more interesting voice than the rest of them. It's kind of different. He also, like, I think his production is a bit better. I've only heard No Stylist, so I don't know if on the rest of his albums it's just as bad. But like, yeah, I think the guy has potential to make it in. I could see him not making it in as well, but due to the amount of hit songs the guy's had, I think he could make it in. Now, onto a sort of last minute inclusion. This was originally meant to be Dougie B, and then I learned that he was like on trial for something, so obviously he wasn't going to make it in. And then I changed it to Glorilla, and then I spoke about her in the Lovesick video, so I was feeling kind of bad about speaking about her in 2 different videos, because I already sort of went and gave a rundown in that video. And then we got on to Enchanting, another sort of Gucci Mane label member. I don't know what they're called. It was like 1017 for a while, and then all the tapes are like So Icy Boys and stuff, so I have no idea about that. I'm going to be honest, I don't really like her music. Genuinely, like, there were like 2 good songs on the last album. That's because one was saved by Gucci Mane and one was saved by Big Scar. She's another one of those sort of whisper rappers that like there's been a wave of since Latto, because you had Latto in the 2021 freshman list. No, 2020, sorry. And then you had Ruby Rose in the 2021 freshman list, and then you had Callie in the 2022 freshman list, and they all sound the same, except getting slightly worse. Because obviously Lato's got the whole sort of like pop thing going on now, and I think Ruby Rose actually had some catchy songs. But yeah, Callie's rubbish. I'm sorry, but she was probably, other than Babytron, my least favourite artist on last year's list. But yeah, I think Enchanting's slightly better than her, but not really. I'm sorry. She also only has like 500,000 monthly listeners, so I could see her not making it in, but I'm pretty sure Lakia had a similar number when she got into the 2021 one, and she basically got in because of a label. I think her music's really good, so you should check that out, but like, yeah, Enchanting wasn't really for me. But yeah, okay, so that's my predictions list, done, and dusted, finally uploaded. Well, it's not uploaded yet, I'm still recording. But yeah, let me know if you agree with my picks, who you think will be in it. In the comments down below. Let me know if you even keep up with XXL anymore, because I know a lot of people sort of stopped around like 2018. But I'm still going to churn the videos out about them because I can, and because they get views, and because I don't get views. I hope you really enjoyed. I will hopefully be back to uploading like a proper amount. I've just been really, really busy. But yeah, I should be recording more, and yeah, I'll see you in the next